Something tells me I messed the recording up. I'm just gonna redo it really quick. Okay, we created the rectangle, starting at the origin, 48 by 24. Type the red axis dimension first, 48 from 24, enter. Use your tape measure to check those dimensions out, 4 feet, 2 feet, yep, that's it. And then we're using push-pull, hit P on your keyboard, grab that surface up 72 inches, type 72, enter. Then we're offsetting these edges 4 inches, type F for the offset tool, hover over that surface, click, pull inward and type 4, enter to offset 4 inches. And then we're going to move this bottom line that we just created with the offset tool. We're going to select it, activate the move tool, and move it up 1 foot along that blue axis. Make sure that you're not at a weird angle accidentally. And type 1 foot, enter. You should have a total of 1 foot 4 from that line to the bottom of the piece. Okay. Let's see here. Still on step 2. We're going to use the push-pull tool to extrude the inner rectangle, so this smaller surface here. We're going to push-pull it 1 foot 10 inches into the bookcase to kind of create that shell space. So push-pull, P on your keyboard, select that surface, start to move inward, and type 1 foot 10. Thank you.
1 foot what?
10. 1 foot 10 and enter. So you got a little shell space now. And we're going to select it all and make a group.
So, yeah, it says select the entire shell, so the whole thing.
Get the whole thing, the whole bookcase that we've modeled so far. You can either drag your selection window over all of it, or we can triple click to grab all of it.
Do we have to name it?
A group in this case is going to be just fine, because we're just going to create one bookcase, one shell of it.
Also, you don't need to name it.
No, it's not, you haven't done anything wrong if you do make it a component, but just in this instance, we don't necessarily need to make it a component, because we're not going to create multiples.
Oh, okay, I get it.
Yes.
A solid group. Okay, got it.
So I'm going to right click and make a group. But we want this piece to be nice and isolated from the rest of what we're going to do. Alright, step number 3, we're going to make the top trim piece for the bookshelf. So I'm actually going to double click back into that group I just created so I can enter its editing mode. I'm going to use the offset tool again, but this time on the top surface. So I'll hit F on my keyboard for that offset. Select that top surface, and we're going to offset 2 inches outward. So select that surface, move your mouse outward, and type 2, enter for 2 inches. And then this new little surface that's been created, that 2-inch band all around, we're going to push-pull, so P on your keyboard, and grab that new little thin edge.
Just the outer.
Correct. Just the outer, and push-pull it up 2 inches to enter.
Okay, I couldn't select the top of my bookcase.
You can't.
Where did I go wrong?
You might need to double-click into your group so that you're in the edit mode. You might be kind of outside the group.
Oh,
Double-click into it so that you're into its editing space.
Now F. Offset on the edge.
2 inches outward. Alright, and then we're still going to be working inside the bookcase group here. So if you accidentally clicked out of it, just double click back into it, keep on editing. Step number 4, we're going to add a little curved apron here. So if we're looking at the assignment, we're making this little curved piece just to add a little bit of fanciness to the bottom here. So, I'm gonna orient myself to the front of the bookcase here, and we're going to use the arc tool to create that arc along the bottom edge here. So that was A on your keyboard.
The 2-point arc.
Yes.
Okay.
And we're going to make the arc the entire length of the bookshelf. So we can click on one of these front bottom corners, move along to the opposite corner, and then start to pull upward to create the bulge of the arc. And we want that radius to be 9 inches, so I'll type 9, enter. And then we'll push-pull this arc surface, just this small arc. We're going to push-pull that back all the way through so that it's a nice empty space underneath of our bookshelf. So we'll do that with the push-pull tool. Hit P on your keyboard, grab that surface, and actually, it might even stop you once you get to the back. Mine actually won't let me keep on going any further. But you can also just find either the back face, hover over that back face, or hover over one of the back end points and click there, and that should make it all disappear.
And what if it doesn't?
If it, let's see here,
Oh, it did.
if it didn't disappear and it still just kind of looks like this on the back, just use your eraser tool and get rid of that bottom line, and then it'll all open up. So once that line has been removed, the surface is like, oh, I don't have an edge anymore. Okay, and then we are done editing the bookcase group, so you can just click somewhere outside of the group to close that editing box. Yeah.
I didn't get the top. What step is that? 'Cause I got
The little trim piece,
Yeah,
that's step number 3.
on page.
The page in the book?
The book is more confusing.
I try to interpret the book for you.
Yeah, that was good. You did good.
Okay, step number 5. We're going to start to make our shelf components. So, again, you're outside of the group. You don't want to be inside because then we're going to get stuck to, that stickiness is going to take effect and it's going to be a mess. So make sure you're outside of the group. And just to kind of get the footprint of our shelf started, we're going to create a rectangle that's the same size as the bottom of the inside of your bookcase. So I'm going to hit R on my keyboard, and I'm just going to create a rectangle along this bottom face. So make sure you're selecting one of those endpoints and selecting the opposite endpoint to go ahead and create that surface there. And then once you do have that rectangle created there, we're going to select the rectangle face and its edges. You can double click on that surface to grab all of it, right click, and we're going to make this one a component because we're going to create multiple copies of the shelf. So I want them all to be tied to each other. So I'm going to make a component of this one. I'm just going to call it shelf. And make sure that with my selection with component is checked. And hit create. Now this is where we get to practice linear array.
You're not inside the group, correct?
I'm sorry?
You're not inside the group.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not inside either of my groups right now. Not the bookcase group or the shelf component.
So we're trying to transfer that.
Select the rectangle face and its edges.
Yep, and make a component out of it.
How do we make it?
Right click.
Yep, right click and make a component.
Mine's not making it.
Okay, step number 6, we're going to array the shelf component. So in this case, I don't necessarily know the distance that I want between my shelves, I just know that I want to fill the whole space with equally distanced shelves. So in that case, I'm going to copy my shelf component up to the top, and then I'm going to fill the space in between. So I've got my shelf component selected. I'm going to hit M for move, Control for copy. I'm going to grab one of these endpoints that's going to be easy for me to copy it up to the top. So I'm just going to grab an endpoint here on the corner of my shelf. I copy that up to the very top because I want to specify the last point between. So go ahead and place it on that endpoint up there and click to finish. And then immediately type \4 enter. And there should be that copy we created at the top, that's going to be your 4th copy. So then it should have 3 equally spaced between.
Okay.
Yep, we can do that again.
\4.
I'm just gonna Control Z
Is
to
that
undo
not
what I
only
just did.
4? Is that the issue?
So I'm gonna select my shelf component, M for move, Control for copy. I'm going to copy it to the top of the inside of the bookshelf. Go ahead and place it once you find that endpoint to copy to. And then immediately type \.
Are you still
4.
holding control?
Enter. Nope, once you finish that copy, you don't need to do anything else. You don't even need to hold down copy. You can just click copy or click control.
And click the face and then /4,
Yes.
and it should work. Oh my god, thank God.
Oh, no, that's not working.
Been trying to do that for the past hour.
It worked now?
Yes.
Oh, good. It's a tricky one.
Yeah, that didn't, I don't know, I got lost.
What you just said that you're supposed to click on it and
Deleted that
then
earlier.
/4.
Yep.
You're supposed to just click on the very top one.
Yeah, so let's do it again. I select my shelf, M for move, Control for copy. I just click Control, I'm not holding
Right.
down Control.
Right.
I'm gonna go ahead and copy the shelf to the very top. So select the shelf.
Until it says
Oh, but you're
on
dragging it
face.
from a corner.
I'm not dragging,
Oh,
I just clicked on that corner. Now I'm copying it up to the top and I'm gonna click to place.
but
That
how
copy?
do you click the place?
Where when it reaches the little icon, it says N of midpoint or N of face.
Yep, once I find that endpoint that I wanna copy it to, I just click to place it. And then type that \4 enter.
Yeah, I'm not getting it right, I'm not doing it right.
Okay, I am a little worried
Okay.
about the time, so we're gonna
Let me get out.
keep on
this
moving
control.
here.
I don't get it. Okay, I don't get it. I'm not getting
I'm
it.
gonna go ahead and delete the first and last ones, because I don't need to create a shelf on the bottom of the bookshelf, and I don't need a shelf on the very top. I was just using this linear array to get those equally spaced ones between. So we can go ahead and select those top and bottom ones and delete them. So now you should just be left with 3 shelf components in the middle of your bookshelf.
How do you know if you have it or if it's deleted?
If you just select on the bottom there, you should be able to see if you click on that, it shouldn't click on the group of your bookshelf, it should click on a shelf component.
Okay, thank you.
And let's see here, step number 7, we're gonna change the shelf's height and depth.
And you ain't letting it go, look. It's still
So
holding.
we will double click into one of the shelf components to open its editing box. Doesn't matter which one you go into because we know that they're all tied to each other. So just double click into one of them to open up its editing box. We're going to add some thickness to the shelf by using the push-pull tool. So P on your keyboard and extrude that face 1 inch down. So grab your surface, move your mouse down and type 1, enter, that 1 inch thickness. And then we're also gonna pull the front edge of that shelf back a bit, just to give ourselves some room for the doors that we're gonna create. So I'm gonna grab that front surface, start to move my mouse back. You see all my shelves are moving with me. And 1, enter, to move that face 1 inch back. And then once you do that, you can close out of the editing box, just click away. Step number 8, we're gonna make one of the doors. So I'm not inside any group, any component right now, just kind of back in my main model space. And we're going to create a rectangle across half of this opening. We're gonna have 2 doors that pull outward, so we're just gonna create a rectangle across half of this opening. So I'm gonna click R on my keyboard to activate the rectangle. I'm going to click on this top end point to get myself started for my door, so click there. And then we're going to create the rectangle down on the midpoint of that bottom line. So we're taking up half of that opening space. Click to create that rectangle there.
Should it say midpoint?
Yes, you do want to use that inference engine to find the midpoint. And let's see here, where am I? Select the rectangle face and all of its edges. You can double click that surface to do that. And then right click and make a component. And we'll call it, I think just door, yep, door. Replace selection with component is checked, so I hit create. And then we're going to double click into that door component that we just made to open up its editing box. And we're going to give the door some thickness by using the push-pull tool. P on your keyboard. Pull that surface out 1 inch. Alright, we're going to stay inside of this component door. So if you clicked away from it, just double click back into it. We're going to add some rails and styles to the door. So with the offset tool, that's F on your keyboard, click on the front surface of your door here and offset those edges 4 inches inward. Just click, start to pull your mouse inward and type 4, enter. Just confirm that. Got 4 inches. Okay, and then draw a line starting at the midpoint of the top line that we just created. So I'm going to hit L to activate the pencil tool or the line tool. We're going to find the midpoint of that top line. Make sure SketchUp's inference engine is indeed telling you you found the midpoint. Click to start your line. And then move down along the blue axis until you find the midpoint of that bottom line. And click to finish that line. And then we're just going to copy this line 1 inch to each side. So we'll select that line, M for move, Control for copy. Copy it 1 inch to the right, 1, enter.
Wait. So you click on the line, you hit the C,
Click on the line, hit M for move,
M for move,
Control for copy.
Control for copy, and then
Then click the line, start to move your mouse to the right, and type 1, enter. And then go back to that original center line, select it again, M for move, Control for copy. Select your line and copy it to the left this time, 1 inch.
For some reason, it's not letting me type.
Not letting you type? Okay, and then that original line in the center, we're just gonna get rid of it. We just used it to be able to make that style in the center, so we can just go ahead and delete that. Either select it and hit the delete key on your keyboard, or you can grab your eraser tool, E on your keyboard, and just click that line to erase it. Either way works. Okay, here's where our materials are gonna come into play for today's assignment. We're on step number 10. We're gonna put some glass in the door. So in your materials browser, over here in your default tray, go ahead and click on materials to expand it. We're gonna use our little drop-down menu to navigate to the glass and mirrors collection. And we're gonna put the translucent glass blue. You just hover over the thumbnails of the materials, it'll tell you what that material is named. So then once you get that translucent glass blue, go ahead and click on it. Your cursor will turn into the paint bucket. And we're just gonna click on those two surfaces on either side of that little middle rail we just created.
Where's the materials thing again?
It's in your default tray.
Okay, and then I have entity info, components, I don't see materials.
Let's go to window,
Style,
default tray, hover over default tray, and make sure the materials is checked. So if you don't see materials, go up to window, hover over default tray, and make sure materials is checked.
okay. It's checked.
So it should show up then over in your default tray.
You're right, there must be an opening in the line, because it's,
Is it under shadows? Is it?
Nope, it's its own thing.
you might have,
Maybe try hitting B on your keyboard. Does that pull up materials?
What?
B as in boy.
Okay, yeah.
Did that pull it up?
Uh-huh.
Okay, there you go. B is the shortcut for the paint bucket tool, and so it's just kind of interchangeable. You can either select on the material from the materials browser, or you can hit B. That'll pull it up for you. Okay. Let's see here. Alright, notice that the glass is just kind of blue. You can't see through it. It's not actually transparent. That's because of the back face of our door is still there. It's still just painted white. And so these next two steps are gonna get us figured out so that back face isn't messing with us anymore. So step number 11, we're gonna get outside of the door component. So just click away, come back to your main model space. We're gonna rotate the door open so that we can actually see the back side of the door. So select your door component. We're not double clicking into it, we're just selecting it. Activate the rotate tool by hitting Q on your keyboard. And we want it to be on the blue axis here. So go ahead and find the blue, either by, you can just hover over the ground plane, or you can use those arrow keys to find yourself on the blue. And you can hold down Shift to lock it in place. And then we're going to click on, you can either do the top back corner or the bottom back corner. I think it's going to be easier for us to find this top back corner, kind of like where your hinges go on the door. And that's going to be our center of rotation. So I'm going to click there, start to define kind of a starting line. Click again. And then it can start to swing open, kind of like it's acting like it's opening on hinges. You can just go ahead and open it to 90 degrees maybe, so that we can have a good view of that back side. So then you'll just type 90, enter. And then we're going to double click into the door component. This is step number 12. double click into it, and we're gonna hide this back face so that we can actually see through our front glass. So double click into the door. We haven't learned yet how to hide something, so this is learning how to hide something. Select that back face, right click, and hit hide. It doesn't delete it, it just hides it so that you don't see it. If you ever hide something and you want to get it back, go up to View in your menu bar and check Hidden Geometry. And it kind of shows up as kind of this cross-hashed pattern. So now it's showing you, hey, there is a surface here. Then you can just, again, right-click it and unhide. And it'll come back for you. Right-click, hide. And again, I can see that hidden geometry, so then I just need to go back up to View and uncheck Hidden Geometry, and then it won't show anymore for me. Now, if we orbit ourselves back around to the front, our glass is now transparent. We can see through because that back face isn't in our way anymore.
Can you do that one more time, or, yeah, just.
Yeah, how much of it do you want me to go back again?
Just the, how do I erase the,
Hiding the back face?
yes.
Yes. Undo a couple times. Okay. So double click into your door component. Select that back face. Right click and hit hide. And then whenever you ever do want to see that hidden geometry, you can go up to View and check Hidden Geometry. Okay, and then we're just going to rotate that door back into place. So again, outside of the door component, click away. We don't want to be in edit mode anymore. Select your door, activate, rotate. Again, we're going to want to be on that blue axis. Find that same rotation point where those hinges go. Select that center of rotation. Define kind of your starting point. Oops, I've accidentally got the bookshelf selected instead of my door. Grab the door, rotate. Grab that axis of rotation. And you just type 90 again to put it back into place.
I rotated my door inward. I can't rotate it back out.
It might be a little bit easier if you move your door outside of your bookcase so that you can kind of deal with it a little bit better. Now rotate it back the 90 degrees. You want your rotation to be on that blue axis, yeah. There you go. And then just find the back end point and put it into place. Probably grabbing an end point would make it a little bit easier for you so that you can exactly align it to that corner of your bookshelf. Nice. Yes.
I don't know what I did, but now my door is not on the hinge, it's a little bit in front of it.
Okay, where are we? We're on step number 13, we did 90 degrees. We're gonna add some doorknobs. So go back into your door component. We wanna add the doorknobs inside the door component. So double click into there.
Thanks.
Create a guideline 2 inches inward from the front right edge. So our front right edge is the one that's towards the center of the door, on the front face. Guidelines. What tool do we use to create guidelines?
Tape measure.
Yes. Tape measure. Hit T on your keyboard. Grab that front right edge. Pull inward. Type 2, enter for 2 inches from that edge. And then we're going to create another one 2 feet up from the bottom edge. What we're doing is we're our door handle is gonna be a circle, so I'm trying to find the center point of my door handle circle. So then I'm gonna create another guideline, click on that bottom edge, start to pull upward, and 2 feet, enter. And then where that intersection happens, let's activate the circle tool, that's C on your keyboard. At that intersection, SketchUp should snap to it for you with the inference engine. You're going to click on that intersection to specify the center of your circle. Start to move your mouse outward, and our radius is going to be 1 inch, so type 1, enter. And you got a circle, radius of 1 inch, diameter of 2 inches. Yes. Okay. And then we will select the circle and its edges. So double click on that circle to grab its edges with it. Right click, make a component. And this is going to be door handle. And then we'll double click into the door handle component. Use push pull tool, P on your keyboard, to pull that surface out 1 inch. And then we can click away. Might have to click away twice because we're now in a nested component here. We've got our door handle component inside of the door component, so you might need to click away a couple of times to get completely out of all of your components. You know you're out when there's no editing box around the component, nothing's grayed out.
Is your door now, did you say pull it out 1 inch?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and delete those guidelines. I'm gonna go up to Edit and Delete Guides. That's how you delete all your guidelines at once. It doesn't matter if those guidelines were created while you were inside of a component, if you were inside of a group. That delete guides is gonna delete them all. Step number 14, final step here. We're gonna make a second door and mirror it. So really there are 2 ways you can do this. The way that I wrote it in the assignment, we'll go ahead and do that way first. You can copy the door component over to the other side of the bookcase. So we select your door component. And since our door handle, we created that component inside of the door component, it's all gonna come with it. So we have that door selected, M for move, Control for copy, grab a nice corner or an edge that's gonna make it easy for you to align with this other side of the bookcase opening. So I'm gonna grab this back corner here, slide it over until you meet that endpoint, and click to finish. So now you've got your copy of your door, but we don't want the door handle like that. We don't want them both swinging the same way. We want both of the door handles to be in the center so that they're more like French doors. So for that, we're going to use the flip tool. So have that new copied door selected. Grab your flip tool, and we want to flip it about this red one here. That's going to be kind of your mirror line. So if I select that red plane there, the whole door should have flipped, and now your door handle will be on the inside. Let's look at the other way that we can do this. I'm just going to delete that door so we can try it again. This way, we're going to flip and copy all at once. So select your door, grab the flip tool, hit Control for copy. You can just click it once, you don't need to hold it down. And then if I went ahead and selected this red plane now, it would just flip it right in place along the center point. So I'm actually going to click and drag that plane and align it to the inner endpoint here of my door. And whenever I release, it'll copy it and flip it about where I placed that red plane. So it copied and flipped all at once.
How you can flip again?
I sure can. Grab the door,
Grab the door.
activate your flip tool.
Where's that at?
If it's not along the top, the one that has like a triangle
see it.
flipping over, it'll be under your tools
Okay.
drop down. So for this method, we're gonna hit the control key to activate copy. Click and drag the right or the red plane here. Align to that inner endpoint here. And then whenever you let go, it'll flip and copy.
So you're not in the edit door.
Correct.
Okay.
I just selected the door.
You just
I'm not
selected
editing
the door. Flip, okay. Then, where did you grab the
The control
points?
Yes.
Flip and then control,
Yes.
okay. And you grabbed on face the door.
I think my door wasn't in the right side.
Okay, we got 15 minutes
But I lose
left.
my mind right now.
Let's get our clock going here.
Help with that.
Go ahead and save your model right now, just in case something were to crash as we're doing our clock. You don't want to lose your bookcase, so go ahead and save your model real quick. And save it as your first initial last name underscore ex4.
Oh my. Completely in outer space.
What did you say, save it under what?
Just the typical first initial last name underscore ex4. You can just save it on your desktop or something for right now.
If you're in outer space, how do you get back to your?
Zoom Extents, the one that looks like a magnifying glass with the arrows pointing out in different directions. If I'm way out over here, click on that Zoom Extents, takes you back to your model. Okay, let's get through this clock real
Just
quick.
move. Just slide it.
Alright, for this clock, I'm gonna go ahead and set myself so that I can look at the clock as if it's hanging on a wall. So I'm going to go up to Camera, Standard Views, and do Front. So I'm looking at the front of my bookcase now.
What does it say that?
The same file is fine. Oh. We just saved it just in case something were to crash and we don't want to lose that bookcase. All that work we just did. Go to Camera, Standard Views, Front. So you should be looking at the front of your bookcase. And you can see, we can still see some depth to it. We see the bookcase in perspective a little bit. So that's why we go up to Camera, Parallel Projection, and now you see that looks more of a two-dimensional drawing. It just kind of helps us be able to draft a little bit better.
How'd you do it again?
Up in Camera,
Camera.
Parallel Projection. And also Camera, Standard Views, Front. So now we're looking at it in the front, and parallel projection makes it more two-dimensional. Alright, step number 2. Let's create guidelines 5 feet up from the red axis. So grab your tape measure, click on the red axis, start to move your mouse up along the blue axis and type 5 feet, enter. And then we're going to create another one 6 feet over to the right from the blue axis. So again, with the tape measure, click on the blue axis, move your mouse over to the right, and type 6 feet, enter. And that should now create us an intersection so we can start our circle for the clock. Zoom in here a little bit more. We're going to create a circle, so C on your keyboard. The center point is going to be that intersection, so click on that intersection, start to pull your mouse away, and our radius is gonna be 6 inches, so type 6, enter. Select your circle face and its edges, so double click that surface to grab the surface and all of its edges, right click, and make group. Step number 3,
Wait a minute, are we just doing the edges or the middle part too?
you want the surface and the edges. Put it all in a group.
Okay, and
Okay. Step 3, we're gonna make the hour mark. Activate, I'm not inside the group, I'm outside of the group. So activate the rectangle tool, R on your keyboard. Start at the intersection of your guidelines. And create a rectangle that is 1/2 inch along the red by 1 inch along the blue. And type 0.5, comma, 1, enter. And we're going to select that rectangle and its edges. Right click and make a component. And we're going to just call this hour mark.
You're calling it what?
Hour mark.
Thank you.
And great. And then we're going to move this hour mark into the 12 o'clock position. So select your component. Again, we're not inside editing mode, we're just selecting the component. M for move. And we're going to first move it to be on center. So right now I've got one of my edges at the center. I want the midpoint to be on the center. So don't be afraid to scroll in, get in nice and close, find the midpoint of that bottom edge of your hour mark, and move it over to the intersection. We're just making sure that it's nice and centered in our clock. And then still with the move tool, we're going to move that hour mark up along the blue axis 4.5 inches. So 4.5, enter. And it should now be in kind of a 12 o'clock position here. All right, radial array, step number 4.
how many inches or so?
4.5.
4.5.
Yes. With the hour mark component still selected, not in edit mode, just select the component, activate the rotate tool, so that's Q on your keyboard. And we're actually going to be on the green this time, just because we're looking at it as if it's on a wall. So we should be on the green, it's going to be flush with the face of your clock. Click on Control for copy. And then we're going to specify the center of rotation, so that's going to be the center of our clock. So click on the intersection. Start to define kind of your starting line here. Click again. Start to move your mouse over, and we'll type our angle. It's going to be 360, because we want all of the clock to have its hour marks. So type 360, enter, and then immediately that / I suppose it is, and 12, enter. Now you should have 12 total hour marks.
Why is it not letting me type? Click what? Oh, never mind.
Selected. I was having the same thing. It was like
Well, it's
back in,
still
actually
do it.
selected.
Okay, let's see here, step number 5.
I'll be back again.
We're gonna model the clock hands. So again, not inside any component here. I'm gonna create 2 rectangles at the center of the clock. One's gonna be your hour hand, one's gonna be your minute hand. So what they're both gonna each be 1/2 inch wide. One of them will be 4 inches long, the other one will be 3 inches long. You know the minute hand is usually longer than the hour hand. So activate rectangle, R on your keyboard, start at the intersection of those guidelines. I'm just gonna create one at a time. So let's click there to start, and we're gonna draw one that is 0.5, comma, 4, enter. So that creates one there for you. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and rotate this one to whatever minute time I want it to be, just so I can get it out of the way, so I can create my hour hand. So go ahead and double select or double click that surface to grab the rectangle surface plus all of its edges. And we'll use the rotate tool, Q on your keyboard.
Are we centered?
I'm sorry?
Gotta be centered?
I don't think I told you to, but if you'd like it to be centered, you can move it more centered. It was 1.5 by 4. It was just 0.5 by 4. Half an inch by 4 inches. Yes. Alright, and then rotate this to whatever time you like. So grab your center point of rotation, specify your starting line, and then you can rotate it to whatever time you'd like. You can make it exact if you'd like, or you just rotate it to some random angle. So mine's kind of like 23 minutes. And then we'll go ahead and create another rectangle, again starting at that intersection. This one's going to be 1/2 inch by 3 inches. And that'll be your hour. Then grab that rectangle, Q for rotate, find that center of rotation, specify a starting line, and let's see here, I'll rotate mine over here. Whatever time you want, it doesn't matter. And then we'll go ahead and grab both of those rectangles, both the minute hand and the hour hand, right click, and make a group. And then we'll double click into the group. And we're going to extrude the clock hands up 1/4 inch just to give them a little bit of thickness. Feel free to rotate yourself around, no longer being in more of that front face view. You can just orbit yourself so that you can actually see the thickness happening. You'll use the push-pull tool and move that out 0.25 for 1/4 inch. And here's something cool, you can just double click that other rectangle and SketchUp will automatically say, oh, you want me to repeat the same command? Okay, I'll extrude it up another 1/4 inch. Or, of course, you can just click it, type the 0.25 again, or you can hover over a face or an edge that's aligned to where you want to push-pull, and then just click to finish. We're so close, I have 2 minutes. Step number 6. Oh, close the group and delete your guidelines. So go up to edit, delete guides. Alright, step 6. Offset the clock face. Double click into the clock face group, so that's the big circle, the original group that we created. Double click into that guy. And then with the offset tool, that's F on your keyboard, click on that surface, start to move your mouse outward. We're going to offset outward 1/2 inch, so type 0.5, enter. And then this new little sliver of circle that's been created, we're going to push-pull that one back 1/4 inch, 0.25.
Out or in?
Just back.
Back, down?
We were looking at it like it's on a wall, so we're extruding it back. So it's got some thickness to it.
Okay.
Yes. And then the original circle, we're going to move that out 1 inch, or back 1 inch. That's kind of where all the hardware, the batteries, all of that are going to live. Oh, here's a good lesson. You see, whenever I did that, my original face has disappeared. that original circle's no longer there. This is how you fix that if, just in case that happens. I'm gonna Control Z to go back to where I was. In that case, just click on Control, and that'll kind of copy the face. Sometimes the push-pull tool is kind of weird. I can't quite figure out what it is. A lot of times when it's up against another surface, it wants to act that way. So just click on Control and then push-pull the 1 inch, and now you should have both of your faces.
So the outer edge goes forward 1/4 of an inch,
They're both back.
they're both back.
Yeah.
So what is back 1/4 of an inch?
Yep.
And then the other one's back in a whole inch?
A whole inch. And there you go. That's it. 8:30 on the dot. I made it.